I think we are. Woo! You guys, here we are. Another edition of Live in the Kelly Kitchen. I'm just going to adjust these cameras a little bit so you guys can see everything. We've got a super fun, delicious meal tonight. Bear with me on my lighting because this is a home studio and I've got like sheets going everywhere. But hi, Susan. How are you? You guys, we are making surprise soup. That is a little fun story that I have about my daughter. She did not like any green vegetables growing up, and I created this zucchini with sage and blue cheese soup. And so we're gonna do that again tonight. We're gonna do a berry cobbler, just a simple one. I will not be eating it because I'm following my 30-day strong challenge and no desserts for me at all. Hi, Julie. But I'm gonna make this for you guys so you guys can see. I'm gonna do a half of the recipe, and then all of those will be for Peter and some friends. Hi, Bernice, how are you? And Vic, how are you? So we've got the soup, we've got the berry crumble, and then we've got something kind of interesting. We've got halloumi cheese, and we are going to grill this. This is a grilling cheese, and you can do this on your barbecue. We're going to do it on my mini dash waffle maker, and we're going to do a bruschetta, like a tomato, garlic, basil over the top of it. This is a really interesting cheese. It's super salty, so we're not going to add any salt to the bruschetta, but it's kind of an interesting, fun, different type of thing. Let's get started. I have got mixed berries. I've got blueberries and raspberries and strawberries, and I've just kind of tossed those around. I have 1 tablespoon of my Lakanto monk fruit sweetener. This is a blend of monk fruit and erythritol. We're just going to give that a nice toss. We're going to give this a 1/4 teaspoon of xanthan gum. And xanthan gum is just a vegetable fiber, and that is going to help add to the thickness of this. Oh, I knew Vic would like halloumi. You need to educate me a little bit more on it. I've loved it for a really long time, but I don't find it very often. Halloumi cheese, I find it in my specialty department, just at my regular supermarket. I found it at every supermarket I've been to, but it's in the specialty cheese department. And it's just kind of a fun, different thing. So I've got my sweetener, I've got my xanthan gum. We're going to do, I'm going to get back to that in a quick second because I'm going to get busy on the crumb. I've got a little bit of almond flour, a little bit of monk fruit sweetener, and what else did I put in here? So I'm going to put some lemon zest. I didn't want to cut this open until I was ready to do the lemon zest. It's easier for me to do a whole lemon. And I'm going to do about 1 to 2 teaspoons of lemon zest. That just gives it a nice tangy flavor. Gives it a little texture too. So we've got, that's for the crust. And then I have about 1 to 2 tablespoons of melted butter in here. You want this to be a little bit of a dry, crumbly mixture because the berries are going to get nice and wet and moist, and so the crumble mixture you kind of goes on top. Now I'm going a little rogue tonight. This is not on the recipe, but I like to add a little bit of chopped nuts to this. So this is about 1/4 cup of chopped pecans. I'm going to add that right in there. I'm going to put this back in this bigger bowl so it mixes a little bit easier. So I hope you guys have been doing well. Yesterday I filmed a segment for Low Carb USA. Low Carb USA is having a virtual summit at the end of the month. And I just gotta put this down because I'm gonna drop a bunch of this. They're having a virtual summit at the end of the month. And I did a video on all of my pantry staples. I pulled everything out of my cupboards so that you guys could see what I think are some of the basics of what you should have in a low-carb keto kitchen. It's not all about baking. There were some other things in there too. And I kind of talk a little bit about ways to use a lot of the items that I have in my pantry. It's time now to add a little bit of lemon juice. We're going to add 2 teaspoons of lemon juice to our berries. I've got my oven, I think I already said this. I've got my oven going at 375. I might regret wearing a long sleeve black t-shirt on like a super hot day and with the oven going. But if I start sweating, we're going to call that part of my workout today, okay? So we're going to give our berries a nice toss with that lemon juice and with all the sweetener and the xanthan gum. I don't know if you guys can see this. Let me pull this way. So I've got 4 ramekins here. You can do this in an 8x8 or 9x9 tin. And again, I have halved this recipe. So this recipe, the normal recipe, calls for 3 cups of mixed berries. You can use frozen berries if you want to. And I'm just going to divide these berries. This is about 1.5 cups of berries. I'm going to divide that into 4 ramekins. Hopefully I won't drop a whole bunch of stuff here. And as soon as I get these into the 4 ramekins, this is the perfect size dessert. I'm going to put those in there. Let's make sure everybody gets equal amounts. We'll get that out of the way. Anyway, so look for some notices or some postings later on in probably next week, where you'll hear more about Low Carb USA and their virtual summit. I was a speaker last year, and it was just so wonderful. I met so many wonderful, great people, but I also just learned so much. I mean, I've been in this space for over 4 years, and I still learn stuff. So, hi, Lynn from Michigan. Nice to see you. So here we go. I've got my crumble going on top of each of my berries. We're going to put this in. If anybody is in town and would like to try one of these, I'm sure Peter will share. Right, Peter? You're going to share? I think he will. So look at how pretty these are. We're going to put these into the oven for about 20 minutes. Just take a quick look, take a gander of our cute little berry cobblers. So these are going in, and they're going to get nice and bubbly and sweet and delicious. We might even put the last 2 minutes on broil. We might even put it on broil to get a nice little crust on top. Let's get started with our soup. I'm going to put this one here. So if you didn't read the story on the website, my daughter came home from school. She was little. She gets car sick. She's sick on the bus. And she came barreling into the house. Hi, Otsuko. She came barreling into the house. It was freezing outside, and I was making this soup, and it was bright green. But I didn't have any zucchinis out for her to see. And she was like, "What you making?" And I was like, "Surprise soup." Because if I had said zucchini, there's no way in heck she would have eaten it. And I think it was a combination of it was cold outside, she was a little car sick, and she was so hungry, but she gobbled up this, what I called surprise soup. She gobbled it up, and it has forever been her favorite. It is a zucchini with sage and blue cheese. When I originally made this soup, I used really high-end blue cheese, and it was like, I don't know, $10 or $12 for this little tiny amount. I have revamped the recipe so that you can just use regular crumbled blue cheese. I get this in every supermarket. This is 4 ounces, which is what the recipe calls for, and it's just crumbled blue cheese. You can really get any brand you like. I've got my my stock pot going super hot with some olive oil. I've got 2 to 3 tablespoons. I'm going to add in my onions. I have about ½ cup of onions. I got a little aggressive here with how I was storing my stuff. I've got my onions, and I've got 2 to 3 garlic cloves. And I'm going to get those just started, not even for maybe 2 minutes. I'm going to give it a nice stir, and then I'm going to add all of my zucchini. So you guys, zucchini season is coming. And if you have zucchini grown in your backyard, you might be like overwhelmed. Or if you live in a neighborhood where people have lots of gardens, you might find a bag of zucchini on your doorstep and not know what the heck to do with it. Or you might just be at the supermarket and see that zucchini is on sale because there is just so much zucchini going on because it's in season. So people are always asking, like, what do I use my zucchini for? Hi, Eva. How are you? So this is 4 pounds of zucchini. It was about 8 medium-sized zucchinis, and I just did a rough chop. There was nothing fancy about this. And I'm just going to get these in with the onions and the garlic. I'm going to get them to start sweating out a little bit. This soup I love also because it there's really minimal ingredients, and it freezes so well. So even if you're not eating zucchini soup, or you just want to get rid of your zucchini and you don't know what to do with it and you don't want it to go bad, you can make this soup and freeze it. And let me tell you, it is a treat when you don't feel like cooking and you want to pull it out. Now, I know it's super hot right now. Believe me, I get it. It's going to be like 100 degrees here this weekend. But a girl's got to do what a girl's got to do. We've got to use our zucchini, and we're just going to keep turning this a little bit. Oh, zucchini's flying everywhere. We will turn this, and we're going to get the zucchini to start sweating. We will put the lid on here in a second, and so we'll let the pan do the work for us. We'll let the steam and everything come together. This recipe also calls for chicken stock, a little bit of cream, salt, pepper, sage, obviously, and the blue cheese. I get to use my favorite tool in this recipe, which is my immersion blender. That's another thing that I added to the Low Carb USA Summit video that I did, was that I added a bunch of tools that I use every single day, non-expensive, not big and bulky, so that you can see what I use. And my immersion blender, you can use a regular blender if that's all you have, believe you me. And quite frankly, if you just want to eat this soup chunky, you can. We're going to put the lid on. We're going to have that like on medium high. We're going to let it sweat out a little bit, and then we'll go to the next step. I want to get busy with our bruschetta. I've got a whole plant of basil. This is to die for. Unfortunately, I have a brown thumb, and even though I made a bunch of, I planted a bunch of basil plants, they all died or were eaten by critters or something. I'm not really sure, but so I just bought that at the supermarket, and we're just gonna act like I planted that and it's growing. I'm gonna move this to the back just so you guys can see. So that's going to the back. We're gonna ooh, there's a blueberry. Ow, hot. The halloumi, which we're gonna add the bruschetta to, I think I mentioned, is super salty. So we're not gonna add any salt to this bruschetta thing that we're making. Normally I would, but we're gonna start with just like 2 tablespoons of olive oil. This is one of the easiest vegetables. I love doing this. And this is a great sauce. You can put it over like roasted spaghetti squash or anything like that. So we're going to heat up our oil. I have pre-packaged, pre-peeled garlic cloves. I'm going to put 2 packages in so we get a lot of garlic flavor. So actually it's more like 1.5. Packages, just whole garlic. And when you cook the whole garlic down, first of all, it adds tons of flavor. And second of all, it gets super sweet and soft. Hi, Bruce from Iowa. Nice to see you. Thank you for joining me. We're working on the bruschetta right now. This is sort of my funny little take on bruschetta. I'm always looking for ways to mix things up, and because regular bruschetta usually has bread underneath, I like the top actually, the tomatoes and the basil a little bit better than just the bread. So we're gonna put it over some grilled halloumi cheese. This is one of the grocer's greatest gifts to mankind is my, oh, hi Diana from Texas, are just these cute little cherry tomatoes. And I'm just gonna add those to our pan. Woo! And we're just gonna let those roll around and get a little bit brown with the garlic. And those will soften up, and we'll be able to smash those a little bit. And as soon as those are nice and toasted and soft, we will add the basil to that. So let's check on our zucchini. It's softening up, still has a way to go. Maybe I think the softening portion it's less than 10 minutes, but we'll just let that do its thing. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to put a couple things away. I've got my salt, my pepper, and my my sage, which we will add to our soup in a little bit. Woo! Yeah, I'm already starting to regret this long sleeve shirt. Wow. Okay, turning that down. The garlic is toasting and getting so delicious. Did you see how I just took that package of tomatoes and just dumped it in there? And you see how I picked the package of already peeled garlic and just dumped it in there? Now, if you are not serving this with halloumi, at this point you would add some salt and some pepper and maybe a few herbs to give it like a nice flavor. But again, we're gonna start making the halloumi, and I will show you how that is done. Let me get this stuff out of the way. I have my little dash. I don't want to burn myself. I have my little dash, waffle maker. And I've already got it heated up. I'm going to show you how to do the halloumi. Can you see this? Probably not. My camera situation is really weird tonight, so I hope you guys can just sort of bear with me. The lighting is super weird, and I'm not a professional. I'm just a mom that's trying to make some low-carb meals and show everybody who came to see me. So the zucchini soup recipe, someone just asked, the zucchini soup recipe is on the website. The berry cobbler recipe is just one that it's from a food blogger that I really love. It's called I Breathe, I'm Hungry. IBreatheI'mHungry.com. And it's just a keto berry cobbler. It's very simple. And the bruschetta is just something that I kind of made up. There's nothing really to it. Can you see the tomatoes are starting to soften up? We're just going to let it do its sort of thing. So in the meantime, let's get busy on the halloumi because it's kind of an interesting thing. We're only going to make 2 pieces. This is what it looks like also when you get it at the store. It's available kind of near the feta cheese. And it says the cheese that grills. So you can put this on your barbecue and it's like a little steak of cheese. And you just take the lid off and you can keep the halloumi cheese in there. This was another brand that I got. It has a little bit of a brine in here. It's a little bit wet. We'll just take this out of the container here so you guys can see. It's hard. Whoop, little wet. So it's a hard cheese. Let's see if you can see it back here a little bit better. And I am going to take 2 slices. I'll show you how thick. You don't want them too thin. because you want them to have the ridges of the waffle and so that they'll hold the tomatoes as well. So we've got, this is probably, whoops, that one's, it broke a little bit. I'm just going to do another one. This one and this one. Okay. So if you're a vegetarian, keto, if you're a vegetarian, this is it's like a cheese steak, I guess you would call it. And I'm going to do one of these at a time. Can you see my dash here? I don't want to get it too close, but my dash is nice and hot. And I'm going to put this in here, just right on top there, and I'm going to press it down. And it's going to go for 2 minutes. 2 minutes, set my timer. Start. Okay, so that's going to go for 2 minutes, and we're going to check it. We might go a little bit longer. So it's nice and squished. My tomatoes are getting nice and soft, and it's time. Let's move this over here and get this out of the way. It's time for me to check on our soup. And then we'll get our tomatoes out of the way, and we'll bring our soup a little bit closer so that, you know, I don't, for some reason, the angles are a little off tonight, and I'm not really sure what. Let's see if I can go that way. Oh, there we go. So now you can kind of see everything. I'm going to give my zucchini a nice stir. It's starting to soften up. Let's see if I can show you. Well, do you know what it's like when the zucchini starts to weep and get a little bit mushy? That's what you're looking for, is the weepy sort of soft zucchini. And at this time, we are going to add our salt, our pepper, and our sage. So we'll do a teaspoon of sage. Where is my finger? We'll do a teaspoon of sage. And then we're going to do a teaspoon of salt. Last time I made this soup, I made the mistake of I over-salted. I was so panicked because I didn't want to lose 4 pounds of zucchini, and I had over-salted, and I didn't know what to do. And the misnomer is that you add a potato, you add something to soak up the salt, but that's actually not what you do. You add more water or oh, that's our thing. Let's check. Okay, almost done. I think I need about 30 more seconds. Let's put it on for 40 seconds. Whoops. Sorry, I put it on for 40 minutes. Okay, so that's going. Our tomatoes are getting nice and soft. I'm going to still let those do their thing. I've got my zucchini. I'm stirring with all of the seasonings. My whole kitchen smells like sage right now. It's so delicious. And my zucchini has softened up really nicely. Let me see if I can show you guys how soft the zucchini is. Where's my? Here, let's show you one of these. If you guys can see, the zucchini is getting nice and soft. I don't know if you can see that online, but at this point, I always make a little bit of extra stock. The recipe calls for 3 cups. I want just enough to cover it because I don't want it to be, I want the zucchini to thicken the soup. And so I'm going to start with 3 cups, and then I might add another cup, depending. And we're going to bring that up. Time to check our halloumi. Oh, perfect! Let's get it out of there so it doesn't burn. Whoa! Okay. I got to show you this because it's so cute, but I don't want to burn myself. So there is our cute little halloumi cheese. Hi, Rosette. How are you? So we're going to just push this off to the side. We're going to do our second halloumi cheese, and then we'll have our bruschetta on top of that. Delish. Okay, here's our second halloumi cheese. Again, we're going to push the slice of cheese right down in my Dash little mini waffle maker. And we are going to set the timer for 2.5 minutes. Okay, and we're going to let that go. We're bringing our soup to a boil. And again, that was about, it was about 3 cups. Maybe, no, actually I missed about 1/2 cup. So let me add about 1/2 cup because you want 3 cups. You don't want much more than that because you want your soup to be, thicker. And if you add too much liquid, then it's a little watery. Let's put our lid back on there. Well, if you guys can see our tomatoes, they're still going wild. Our halloumi cheese is doing its thing. And let me get the basil ready because we're going to add that to our our bruschetta. We'll get this out of the way. And quite frankly, I am not very eloquent with basil all the time. So I just take a whole thing like this. Sorry, plant. And I'm going to give it a quick rinse. Give it a nice shake. And then I will just chop this up and we're going to add it to our bruschetta. We'll take some of these stems out of here. You don't want those. Sorry, I was being a little hasty. Those are a little woody and you don't want to always have those. So we're going to add this, a nice rough chop to our halloumi is almost done. Let me get a nice bowl. We're going to turn our bruschetta off. Whoops. I'm going to pour this very gently. Hopefully I won't drop it. No, I'm kidding. I'm not going to drop this. I don't think. Well, if I did, you wouldn't tell anybody, right? There, my friends. That's our halloumi. Let's check it. Perfect! Look at how cute this is. So there is our halloumi grilled cheese. Of course, Lori, I will come cook for you. That's not true. You can easily stick to keto. Message me and I'll tell you how. You guys, I was so busy working on everything else. I completely forgot about our cobbler. The buzzer just went off. Let me take a second and we're going to get this out of the way so I don't burn myself. Let's check on our berry cobbler. Oh, it's looking fantastic. I think it's already done. Wow. I think I might do, and maybe just like a few more minutes. I'll put it on a lower temperature, but it's smelling fabulous. And we'll put it on for like 3 or 4 more minutes while everything else is we're working on everything else. Let's get back to the bruschetta. Okay, so I've got my tomatoes and garlic. Again, I did not salt this because the halloumi cheese is super salty. I'm going to add some fresh basil. I probably went a little bit overboard with chopping this basil, but that's okay. I can save it for another time. You can even freeze basil if you soak it in olive oil. But look at how pretty this is. You guys, anybody can do this. It's very low cost and anybody can roast up a thing of little cherry tomatoes. Super easy. It's so delicious. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. Let me get a fancy spoon. And we are going to spoon this over our halloumi cheese. This is serving for 2. So Peter and I will have this for dinner. Ideally, you want to serve this immediately because you don't want the cheese to get too soggy, but that's okay if it does. It still all tastes very good. So there is our halloumi cheese bruschetta. Delicious. Okay, I'm gonna leave this right here. I'm gonna pull my soup a little bit closer so you guys can see it, because we're gonna get busy mixing it all together. Oh, fantastic. So remember I said my favorite tool was my immersion blender. Let me grab that. One of the things I love about this immersion blender is that the top just pops right off, and this just goes right into your dishwasher. I had one 20 years ago, and I had to hand wash like all the little parts of this with the cord sticking out. It was really, really a mess. But anyways, and I don't know if they sell them in pink anymore, but you guys know I'm a sucker for things that are pink. I'm a girly girl, I guess you could say. Well, I'm kind of a tomboy, but a girly girl too. Let me check on the berry cobbler because I don't want it to burn. And I think I'm gonna call it and say that this is ready. It's beautiful. We'll close that off. Let me just show you what this looks like. This is your berry cobbler. It has a nice little crumble on top with roasted pecans, a little bit of sweetener, a little bit of lemon, a little bit of almond flour, and that is a really delicious, easy dessert. Use up all of your extra berries that you have, and you might put a dollop of whipped cream on there. If I were eating dessert right now, I would add probably a dollop of Greek yogurt to the top of that, because the tanginess with the sweet would be really, really amazing. While my zucchini is still softening up a little bit, I wanted to just mention one more time, because I am on day 9 of my 30 strong. This is a free challenge that I put together, and it's to hold myself accountable to doing all the things that I talk to you guys about every single day. And I have found that if I can walk the walk and be an example, then it is incredibly helpful for you guys. And it's great for me too, because, there's all too many times when I am just I'm looking at my other camera and I'm super, super white in that camera. I find that because I'm making dessert all the time, or because I get super busy, I might skip a workout here or there. This challenge holds me accountable. You can find it on my website or on any of my social media, thekellykitchen.com, Kelly with an IE. It's totally free. You can print it out. It is 30 days. You can start whenever you want. There is a food list and an education list. One of the there are 7 daily requirements. This is all self-directed. You do this on your own time, and you can post pictures if you want, or post your progress if you want, but you have to drink a half a gallon of water a day, which is basically like about half your body weight in ounces, maybe a little bit more, a little bit less, but just shoot for a half a gallon. You have to do 10 minutes of education every single day on keto, low carb, and fasting. You have to fast 18-6, which is a 6-hour eating window. You have to work out for 1 hour a day. Half of that has got to be outside. I don't care what kind of exercise you do, just make it meaningful, a purposeful workout. If that means walking in your neighborhood, great. If that means, beating the crap out of yourself on the treadmill and you like that, then great. If that means swimming, then great. If that means gardening, great. Just get an hour of meaningful workout in every single day. There's no alcohol. There is no treats, not even keto treats, and no cheats at all. for 30 days. And so we just see if you can do it. I am on day 9 and I feel ecstatic. The only bummer is that I am up in the middle of the night, where I used to sleep like a good 7 to 10 hours a night. Now I'm up at least once going to the bathroom, which is kind of a bummer. I need to drink my water a little bit earlier in the day. Okay, I am now sweating my brains out because why I chose to wear a long sleeve black shirt over this hot stove, I don't know. I am a nuthead. But that's okay. We're almost done. Our dessert is done. Our halloumi bruschetta is done. And now let's take a look at our zucchini soup. Because this last part, whew, that's like a steam bath. This last part comes together really fast. We're going to add in our crumbled blue cheese. This is an organic blue cheese. You can get any crumbled blue cheese that you want at your supermarket. This is about 4 ounces, and we're just going to dump that right in there. We'll use this. We'll get all of that yummy cheese. We're going to stir that in there. Our zucchini is nice and soft. We'll start the cheese to get nice and melted. We already put our seasonings in, but after we blend everything together, we're going to taste it to make sure that the salting is on point. So let's just move this out of the way. Again, my favorite tool in the kitchen, and it does have a safety mechanism, so you don't put your hands under here, but we're gonna pulse all of our. Actually, God, I should have shown you what this looks like. Let me show you really quickly, and then I'll finish pulsing all this stuff. You guys, we're almost done, and then dinner is going to be on the table. So you've got your nice chunky sauteed zucchini and onion. Somebody just asked, the waffle maker that I use is just a mini dash. It was $9 at Target, and it's one of those things where I actually have 2 because I can make 2 chocolate or 2 of these all at once. So I'm just going to pulse my soup, and I'm going to melt the blue cheese, and then I'm going to get all the chunky. Be very careful because the soup is really hot, and you don't want to splatter. You can transfer this to a blender, but again, hot soup tends to explode, so you be very, very, very careful. And that's another reason why I love this. Why I love this immersion blender, because I don't have to transfer soup or risk burning myself. But our soup is nice and thick. Okay, it's got a beautiful green hue. I'm gonna get this out of the way. We're gonna add. So the recipe calls for a 1/2 cup to a cup of heavy cream. I like to start with 1/2 cup and just see how thick it is, because again, I want this to be a little bit of a thicker soup. Someone just asked, the immersion blender that I use, this is a Cuisinart, but they come in every brand you can possibly imagine. Hamilton Beach, I can't even think of the names off the top of my head, but they're all relatively inexpensive. You should not pay more than $25 for an immersion blender. Okay, so I'm going to do 1/2 of the cream, and where is my spoon? I'll just give this a nice stir. Oh my goodness. Even though it's hot out, I'm very excited to have this soup. Okay, so I'm just going to test the flavors here. I'm going to test the salting. And I have a feeling this is going to be pretty darn good. It's so perfect. Because the blue cheese has like a saltiness to it, that adds some salt as well. So you don't need, I don't need to add any more. That is so delicious. Don't tell Peter. I'm gonna make myself a little cup of this before he gets home because it's so good. Okay, so if you guys can see the consistency, see how it's a little bit thicker. It's a beautiful thick soup for all of that extra zucchini that is going to be showing up at your door. And you guys, we're done. We made a gorgeous zucchini with sage and blue cheese soup. We call it surprise soup in this house. We made a beautiful bruschetta over a grilled halloumi cheese. So excited to have that. And then we also had our berry. It's too hot for me to hold with that. We had our berry cobbler with chunks of roasted pecan. So I'm so happy you guys joined me. If you have any questions, please put them in the comments and I will get to them sometime, because I look at this reel for at least 24 to 48 hours after I go off air. So if you have any questions or if you need anything answered or if you had any comments, please put it in the comments below. You can follow me on all social media at thekellykitchen.com. Most of the recipes are on my website. And thank you so much for joining us. The goal is for food, health, and fun. And I hope you got a little bit of all of that. And thanks for coming. I'll see you guys next week. Bye. See you later.